Hello everyone! A couple of you requested a co-op Q&A with Mr. TheDDGuides himself. Since we had a couple of opinion questions to cover about the state of the game, a little bit about the lore, I thought it'd be a good idea to try and get DD's opinion on some of these questions. Two minds, no more than one, so we sat down, we talked a little bit, and we recorded it. I hope you enjoy it, and like I said, these are questions with no real right or wrong answers, so if you have a different opinion, feel free to share it in the comments below. Let's begin, shall we? Good morning, Mr. TheDDGuides.
Hello.
For those that don't know you,
What's
who
going on?
are you? What do you do, and why should
I am some dude on YouTube. I make a lot of videos about nonsense, and people watch, and I like that.
About nonsense, the YouTube standard.
Yeah. Oh, it's WoW related nonsense, so it has some relevance.
And what could people have seen from you? Could have heard of you? What kind of topics do you discuss with the WoW nonsense?
I discuss a lot of gameplay stuff. You know, whether or not LFR is horrible, and what happened to the dance studio, that kind of thing. I also do lore on occasion, little snippets of lore, and general other things. Anything I can think of that is to do with WoW, I put that on my channel, and people watch it.
Like a very trippy ghost crawler video. What was up with that,
Oh
man?
my
I
God.
was watching it, I was like, you're sick right now. You must be on medication for this, because damn.
I had so much fun making that video. Like I'm legendary for making myself laugh, but I don't make other people laugh. So when I put that online, I'm like, nobody's gonna laugh at this scene, but I fucking pissed myself when I was making half of these scenes. Like that point where I have thanking Ghost Crawler for all the raid trash. Like I think I lost it like hard there. I loved making that kind of thing. I wouldn't mind making more of that stuff in the future, actually. More visual things.
Yeah, I saw that a lot of your editing skills went into that video. That was kind of cool. With all those special effects and things blowing up, stuff like that.
Well, I wouldn't call them skills. More like I have a lot of stock footage and I'm going to mash as much as I can into it. So every scene, it's like, I don't have enough explosions. I don't have enough things happening and going wrong. So I just decided to put some stuff in there. But yeah, I would absolutely love to do more of that. It's just, it's difficult to market that kind of stuff to people. It's like that worked because it was like, you know, goodbye Ghost Crawler. Here's a homage to all the people who really hate you. So just have to come up with something else and roll with it.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to see, man. It really was. Anyways, and for those who don't know me, as you're not asking me this question, I'll just introduce myself.
Go ahead.
I
No.
I'm Nobble, and for those who don't know me yet, most people know me for my lore videos on the YouTube. I do a couple of Let's Plays, occasional solo guides, WoW guides, anything I can think of, really.
Yep.
Yeah, that's me.
I watched a couple of your Orcs Must Die videos. I love that game. It's so good.
It's awesome. But anyways, the reason that we invited you today, or at least you invited me, one way or another, is we got a couple of questions that requested we should do a co-op. So by that, the request is done, and we got a couple of questions about the gameplay and the situation of WoW. And the way that we figured is that these are a lot of opinion questions, and you guys, your opinion is as valid as ours. But often it's easier when two voices are speaking to get a little bit debate going, a little bit of stronger answers when it comes to not just one mind telling you the way it is. And that's why we're here today.
We're combining our intellectualness into one, and we're going to splurge it on people right now.
Yep, our two minds are nearly strong enough as to one mind. Exactly.
Yeah. We can figure out this game and things.
I bet we can. So, Mr. DD, for the first question, let's start with a nice hot topic already. The looking for raid situation. Some people love it, some people hate it. What's your opinion?
Well, I've made a video about this, but I've got more thoughts on the topic. Personally, LFR, the whole concept of LFR, it's it doesn't affect me personally much because I don't really do it because of my raid guild. I'm raiding all the time. The thing is though, like I like to look at it from the perspective of someone who just doesn't have a guild because for a long time I didn't. I came to the conclusion that there's no right answer to if LFR should be in the game or not. There's a lot of reasons for it to be in there. Like you need it because it's stress free for DPS and heal. They can learn to play their class if they go in there. It's good for that. A lot more people are seeing the raid, obviously. Like the Blizzard come out with super stats saying there's so many people, every player gets the game, doing LFR. It's a huge success. And you don't need amazing gear either. You can just jump right into it with your ult or with some level 90 noob tune. There are some things against it, and I would side in this direction. When you do LFR, there's no incentive to get better at the game. There's no detriments. There's no reason. No one's telling you that you're doing bad. You just, if you don't even have recount, you don't even know if you're doing like bad DPS or anything like that. All you know is that you're beating bosses because you were 24 other people, right? Also, the raid may be a bit too overly accessible. If you can clear out the raid in LFR that fast, then it kind of diminishes the drive to progress further in normal and heroic. Like, for instance, right? I just cleared normal mode, and I'm right now, my guild is progressing to heroic mode. The thing is, I'm so burnt out from doing normal mode for the last few months that the whole idea of doing it all again on a harder difficulty with more stress, it's not very enticing. And it's the same kind of thing. If you do it on Alpha once, it's like, okay, I really, why would I do this again on a more stressful environment? It doesn't, it's stupid. And of course, there's no responsibility in LFR, you know, unless you're a tank, in which case is buttloads of responsibility.
Well,
and that
you gotta know where the taunt button is as a tank. That's about it.
Yes, indeed. And you gotta stand in the right spot and not die.
Yeah.
The fact that most people in LFR, let's just say the 23 people, it encourages bad attitude when you just don't have to really care about what you're doing. When you're in a proper raid, or a proper raid, yeah, 10 or 25 man normal or heroic or even flex, if you're not doing the right thing, if you're being a jerk face to your other raiders, then that kind of reflects poorly on the actual team. Whereas in LFR, no one's a team. You're just some schmo looking to get some gear and see some raid.
Oh, yeah.
That basically sums up my for and against, but I wouldn't mind knowing how you feel about this.
Well, yeah, it's really two-sided. I mean, at the start of Mr. Pandaria, I also made a video on it. I think everybody's made a video on it by now. And this was even back in Cataclysm. If you remember the video by Mike Preach WoW, where he goes in with a fresh level rogue and he does nothing and he gets all the gear. I think all of us at one point actually tested that to see if it could happen. And of course, that was possible. I'm also very two-sided because, as I said, at the start, I was like looking for raids. This is diminishing the greatness that actually is in Mr. Pandaria. Like being able to kill these bosses with a limited amount of effort, that's just crap, man. It makes people think that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Well, there's a whole bunch of endgames still waiting for them, and it's not pushing them into it. Now, with the changes with flex raiding, I've noticed that a lot of people are actually trying to raid, and I think those changes are brilliant. Get people into flex raiding, get them into an easier setting for raiding itself, like a little bit easier when it comes to group composition, a little bit easier to make teams for that. That's the way that they should go. That's the way that they should push people into actual raiding instead of just going into looking for raid and hit target dummies. Because that's basically what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, flex mode with the new expansion, the World's Adrenaline, they're introducing that group finder. Like, I have been begging for a group finder for so long, and that's just going to clear up like all the issues because most of the time it's a case of, this person, say they work at a hospital and they have to get called in. They can't just sit down and say to a raid team, I'm going to show up for these certain times, because they could get called in any second.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
LFR was perfect for them because they could just log on and just queue up and they're good to go. I mean, it might take them 40 minutes if they're a DPS, but they'll get in eventually and they can just drop out at any time. But with every mode except Mythic being tuned to flex mode, that just with the group finder, that just makes it so it's ridiculously easy to find a team like instantly and then get into raiding. I mean,
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I might actually go raiding again with this new system.
totally. I mean, with flex mode, you can just drop in, drop out, like with any team. You don't even have to be in a guild. You can just find a team with Group Finder and drop in, drop out whenever you feel like it. There's no requirement. Like, you don't have to be. The whole team is not relying on you, solely you, to be there to fill a spot. So, in that sense, like as soon as I heard that at BlizzCon, I'm like, man, get rid of LFR. Are they serious?
This is the way to go, yeah.
Yeah, they fixed the issue. I mean, even Ghostcrawler, before he left, he said in a tweet, I wish we had introduced Flex before LFR. And I thought, yes, I felt the exact same way. In Cataclysm, when they first announced LFR, right? I'm like, oh man, this is actually going to be really cool. It's like you can press a
Oh, yeah.
button and find the last spot for someone who dropped out. And they introduced it in like the PTR, and I was horrified. This can't be real. It can't be this. And it just got worse from there. And suddenly every raid was like that. But I think they fixed it. It's just right now it's a case of how would they get rid of LFR? Too many people love it. I mean, that's how they raid.
True. But yeah, the way that I see it, looking for raid is, it was... I think they gone wrong with the idea behind looking for raid, because when they introduced it, it was like, this is going to be for those people that have never raided before. They want all the content, but they don't want the steady raiding system. This is for you guys. You can see all the raids, you can do all the bosses. This is for you. And where they went wrong, in my opinion, is with the amount of rewards that it dropped, like set bonus, epic gear from every boss. The motivation of doing looking for raid is pretty much the gear, and every time they upgraded that gear, they increased the rewards. Not enough tanks will add a satchel to it. Don't get any loot will add a increased drop chance with coins. Your luck didn't work, we'll add a satchel that can drop a mount or a pet or whatnot. Every single time they had to keep upgrading those rewards to keep people motivated for LFR. And in my opinion, if you want to push people away from LFR and into flex raiding, you'll have to at least remove those set bonuses and at least get that gear down to a level where it's better for people to flex raid and get their gear instead of just jumping into LFR, hit a boss, and hopefully get some gear like a freaking loot pinata.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I have real life friends who literally they subscribe to WoW and then they play LFR and then they give up because it's like
Exactly.
we've seen the content, so now we're done. Whereas back in the day, like we would actually form a guild because it's like, okay, we want to see the content. This is our option. We have to do this. Like we can rely on some people we don't know, but we're not going to do that because we're a solid team. But yeah, these days it's so difficult to actually get friends to play. It's like, okay, so do you want to play for a little bit? You can see all the content really quick, but do you want to kind of stress out with us for about 3 hours a night for 3 days a week? It's like, no,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to. So, in some respects, well, in terms of the gear drops, they always got to make it incentivized. But if they remove that incentivization, that means people aren't queuing up for stuff, and that's the whole point of LFI. You can queue up really quick, find a huge pool of people, and get right into it. There needs to always be an incentive. While LFR exists, I would contest its existence, but I would not contest the gear drops and kind of the level of the gear in there, because they've been slowly removing the need for people who are gearing for a raid guild to go into LFR. There's so many other ways to do it. You can do Timeless Isle, and you can buy gear. You can do flex mode with OQ. So they've managed to keep the incentivized version for people who don't care about who don't care about progressing further than that. At the same time, I don't know that they've made it.
Doesn't that miss the point then? Because if you've got LFR for those people that want to see the raids but don't want to actually raid, why do they need such a high amount of gear to go with that? Why is that a motivation? If LFR is to get people motivated for this, then the gear shouldn't be a problem, right?
Well, as I said, it's all about making it so it's an incentive for people to actually queue up. If they're just there to see the content, you'd be surprised at how many people just wouldn't even bother. I mean, you look at challenge modes, like there's no gear drops in there. People do it, and Blizzard won't give specific numbers on how many people do it, but it's quite a bit lower than LFR. So there needs to be something in there. Would there be any other way apart from kind of messing around with all the loot systems so that there are no set drops and keeping the purple gear because people love the perps? You know, we'll get into the gear colors later and the whole gear system. But if there is no incentive, then I just don't feel like people would go for it. I think it would just turn into a challenge mode where even worse than challenge mode, because challenge modes you get people together. Whereas LFR, you queue a button. If people see a 2-hour or more queue, they're not going to do it. Like it's going to die. So
yeah, but isn't LFR just a failed concept to begin with? Then, if you have a concept where you want people to show where you want to show raids to people, and all they do it for is the gear that drops, then isn't that idea failed? People don't want to see raids. People want those epics.
Yeah, LFR is retarded. I'll be honest. It's an extremely bad environment. It's a bad idea, and the only reason it's still there, apart from the people on the farm saying, "Oh, I need LFR even though flex mode is here and Warlords is coming," the only reason it's still there is because Blizzard are looking at the numbers and they see people are getting involved in LFR. People who didn't raid before. The problem there is that when they look at those numbers and they think, okay, well, that must be a good thing, they're not looking at the long-term consequences of what that means. When people can see content within weeks, they're just going to unsubscribe. There's nothing left. There's no carrot on the stick left. Like, you've seen everything. The thing is, if I was in charge of Blizzard, then I would separate the story and the raid environment and the boss I would let people see it. Like, they call it a tourist mode. You know, it's kind of insulting, but they call it a tourist mode. They should make it more of a tourist mode where you see the story progression, you see all these environments, but you're not in a raid. Like, why are these people like raiding when they're not even? There's no responsibility. Like, that's the whole point of a raid. It's just so backwards to me. If they could just make it so you can see the story, just like at the end of Wrath, where you could click a plaque and see the end of the Lich King thing. You click a plaque and it shows you the entire goddamn instance, like in like a movie. Do that. That's better than LFR. Like, LFR is just an extremely lengthy way to see something pretty.
That's definitely true.
Get some perps.
And what you said with that carrot on a stick model, people often, the counter argument to LFR is often, it doesn't affect you or it doesn't hurt me. But I disagree with that, and at least I've come up with 2 ways that it affects me. First of all, that carrot on a stick model, WoW is based on the model of you got a certain goal to get, as most MMOs have. And in WoW, this goal is often gear. That's why they have a random drop chance, so that you can't calculate, I'm going to do that raid 10 times, I'll have all my gear and I'll be done. No, what they did was a random system behind it, so that there will always be a reason for you to go to that boss until you're lucky enough to get all the gear. Yep. Every expansion from Classic to Mist of Pandaria, they've lowered the distance between Donkey, which is us, and the carrot. And at some point, and in my opinion that was around Wrath of the Lich King, around Cataclysm, they've placed that carrot way too far and they overfed us. They gave us
Yeah.
so much content right away that at the end of the Cataclysm, people were feeling bored. And you can see the symptoms right now. I've already heard a couple of people like, oh my god, I need to wait half a year or a year for the next expansion. I've got nothing to do
Yeah.
yet. Did you kill Garrosh on heroic mode? No, I did not. I did LFR. Then you're not done yet. And by giving people those options, like feeling that they're done, then yeah. Are you still there?
I think the fact that we were talking about LFR for so long, I think like my computer decided that we should stop talking about it, move on to something else.
You're done
we've
with
sto-
LFR. It's over. Get over it, man.
Although we still have like a whole nother. Maybe we should. I don't know.
Well, I do want to say one more thing, because for those listening in, we had some technical difficulties just now, and I was on a rant with 2 reasons why LFR influenced my gameplay. Now, the first reason is that people feel that they're done and they're unsubscribing. And no subscribers means less money for Blizzard, means less money for development, means a shittier game for me, and hopefully not, but maybe someday in the future a free-to-play game, which would suck. The second reason is that the mentality of LFR flows into the rest of the game, as in LFR provides you everything with no challenge, and people get the mindset, or okay, this is very generalizing, but some people get the mindset that that should be everywhere in the game. For example, the Brawlers Guild, a system meant to be a challenge, a system, their sole purpose is to be a challenge. People ask for nerfs because they can't get over a single fight. Challenge mode, for example, once again, something where the challenge is the system. People asking for nerfs because they can't get it done. And that system behind it, we want it now, we want it fast, and we want it without any effort, flows into the rest of the game. At least in my experience, that's what I've seen.
Totally. I mean, the covert behavior just bleeds into everything else. On the topic of Brawlers Guild, just really quick, just super quick. I don't like Brawlers Guild because it doesn't cater to tanks or healers. I am a tank. I don't have a DPS set. I'm just a tank, and it really annoyed me when I spent like 15,000 gold to get a ticket, only to get in and realize that it doesn't cater to me. I was upset.
But didn't you read the ticket? It said Brawlers Guild. It didn't say Tanking Guild or Healing Guild. It said Brawlers Guild.
Well, then I want a tanking guild in this game now.
You got it.
Ghost Crawler.
Go to Temple of the White Tiger. You got your Tanking Guild.
Ah, right, yeah. And Proving Grounds and all that.
Yup,
Oh
yup.
my god. Proving Grounds. What a whole nother bag of chips.
Yes. But the last thing that we're going to discuss about LFR, because we've been ranting on for now. What do you think that they could do to improve LFR? We've kind of touched on it, but what do you think they should do?
Well, they can't remove it because it's just like the flying, like how they're going to delay flying to 6.1. People get up in arms about it. People will get up in arms about LFR if it was removed. So in terms of avoiding a dramatic subscriber loss, they need to implement the Warlord system of Group Finder and Flex Mode for everything else before that point. Maybe even make Flex Mode more accessible, a lot easier to get into initially. Like they got that Adventurer's Guide thing. They could say, you know, instead of doing LFR today, in which you'll have a horrible time, maybe we could do Flex Mode and you'll have fun. So
I like that additional note that we have a horrible time in it.
Yeah, I'm just imagining one person on their team is like totally like realistic about the game. Every like quest text, he's like, okay, instead of writing a dramatic piece of lore, I'm just gonna say, just go over there and collect 5 of those flowers for me.
Oh, for those that don't know, by the way, the Adventurer's Guide is a new feature that they're going to introduce with Warlords of Draenor, and it's going to suggest certain things that you can do to upgrade your character. So, for example, if you play PvP, it will suggest go do arena, battlegrounds, or go kill mobs in the Dread Wastes, for example. And if you PvE, it will suggest go to LFR, go to Flex Rating, go to that dungeon to get some gear for yourself.
And they even tell you to log off if you've been playing too long.
Exactly like every other game these days. You've been playing for a while. Don't you want to take a break? No, I want to play my game.
I don't know if you've ever played Metal Gear Solid, but every loading screen, it's like, man, you've been playing for more than an hour. I think you should quit. And it's like, No, I bought this game. I'm gonna play it in my own time. Damn you.
I had not with the Metal Gear Solid. I had it with the new Zelda the other day. Every time that you save, you've been playing for a while. Would you like to take a break? No, no. I'm an adult. Damn it.
Indeed.